Faye, you've had a very broad career, starting off in consultancy and then moving to client side. That's quite a transition. I'd love to hear, during that journey of your career, what role models did you have?
I think what spurred my career on was two things, I suppose. A compulsive desire to make the world a better place, to solve problems, and also a passion to achieve. Having sort of put a lot of time and effort into my education and achieving my first job, it was then always trying to push on and to be the best version of me that I could. I, as you say, worked with Ernst & Young when I first started out in my career and had many great role models there. And I used to love sort of sitting in the partner's office as a baby consultant, just watching them create on a whiteboard and come up with some of the concepts that even today companies are struggling with, principles of CRM and creating the first e-commerce businesses. It was a very exciting time. And as I've moved through my career, there have been a number of people on the way who've helped in that journey in one way or another.
So moving from agency into client, you'll have seen retail change quite dramatically over the last decade. Yeah. What has the role of female leadership been in the last 10 years in retail, in your experience?
If I'm honest, it's been quite absent. I think if I think back, just as you asked that question, I struggle to bring to mind female leaders, which is really sad.
Mm. So thank you for sharing that. So in the last 10 years, there has been a dramatic change in retail. We're seeing the high street unrecognisable now. Yeah. And there may be many people thinking of, or had been considering retail as a career. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give a young person moving into that sector, whether it's in business and operations or in technology, about how to get on in that industry and be a successful female leader?
Wow, big question. I think, first of all, I'd say is really try to put all external influences, first of all, out of your mind and decide what you want to be and what you want to do, because I think we are all influenced by the stereotypes around us and what we think we should be, what we think we shouldn't be, and I think that unconscious bias can be very dangerous, even in ourselves. So I think really thinking first and foremost about oneself, what you're good at, what you really enjoy, is really important as a first principle. I think then, secondly, I would say is that as you're progressing through your career, accept that there will be knockbacks and pick yourself up and keep going, because I think people, especially, and here I am, I guess, stereotyping here, but I think as females we can be quite hard on ourselves, especially if we are moving into what might be more of a man's domain typically. So whether it's technology or whether it's in sort of senior leadership roles where, let's face it, at the moment there are more men than women. I think it's easy to be very super critical. So I think one thing that I wish I'd told myself, I wish I'd known when I was a lot younger, is that you will make mistakes and you will fall over, and that's fine. That doesn't mean to say you should doubt yourself. You've got to back yourself, and you've got to forge ahead where you want to go, and believe that you can be in that role that you want. You can be as good as anyone else, I suppose. And I guess in terms of finding role models, I think it's really important to find female role models, if you can, or indeed to become that female role model. I think is really important. I attended an event recently, and there was a phrase that was used that I really liked. It's like, ladies, make sure that as you're progressing up that career ladder, you don't pull the ladder up behind you. And I love that, because it's so true. We need to help and support each other on that journey, and I think it's the onus is on us as women to see the qualities in other women that are there, and not succumb to that subconscious bias that is really easy, of judging a book by its cover, looking for senior leaders in our teams who are strong and capable and demonstrating all of those characteristics that I guess are more superficially male.
So you touched on there a little bit about some advice you would have given yourself. So, if I was to ask you now, Faye, what advice would you give to your younger self, and what experiences have you had that would have reconsidered?
I think one thing for sure is that I would have warned myself that the moment was coming when I would start to become aware of myself as a woman rather than a person in business. And what do I mean by that? I guess once upon a time I wouldn't have looked very positively on women in tech events or a women's lunch to talk about women in business or senior leadership. I would have thought people are people, and up until a certain point in my career, these issues didn't affect me. I didn't see any discrimination, any barriers in my way. And then I think I reached a point in my career, probably around sort of senior management level, when all of a sudden I started hitting unexpected obstacles. I started realising that actually this is a thing, and that it's not necessarily a thing that is overt or deliberate, and it is actually something that women can be guilty of as well as men in terms of judgment and that subconscious bias. And that came as a shock, and I actually wish I'd known that as my younger self, and been prepared for it, because it probably knocked me off course for a couple of years and caused me to doubt myself quite a lot. And I think it's, I still cringe a little bit around the women's lunch thing, because I don't want to be that person that everyone kind of raises their eyes about, on a hobby horse. But it is a thing, and if we don't address it, and we're not aware of it, we will all potentially make decisions, make judgments that are born of subconscious bias, particularly when it comes to appointing women to senior roles, leadership roles that are more often associated with male characteristics, or more often associated with men. And this is the thing: you see an image, and the more you see it, the more it becomes subconsciously ingrained, and therefore you will interview somebody or see somebody, and you think, oh yeah, that person, they feel right, they fit the bill. And how much of that is because it's this image that's in your head, and it's something that I didn't realise when I was younger, and I really wish that I'd accepted it and known about it so that I could be prepared to deal with it. And I think it's not a big deal. It's not criticism of anyone, or it just is, and it's something that we need to proactively address, I think.
I appreciate you sharing that. And you've touched on a really important thing for us here at Limitless, with the forum that we've established, is deliberately to bring women together who've got successful careers and had successful careers, who we can share stories and experiences, and we can be mentors and role models for one another, whether that's consciously or not. Having that network of women who will be supportive, understanding, non-critical in that environment, we felt was really important. And to your earlier point, where visibility-wise, there's not enough of us. Yeah. So therefore, a forum we felt was the right avenue. We're really grateful you've given your time today to share your story with us. Faye, Roth, thank you very much.
Thank you.